Hello everybody and welcome to the review vlog for the Chimera Ant Arc for Hunter x Hunter Take 5. Let's see if I can finally manage to make this comprehensible. So, this arc is, in my opinion, the best arc of the series. Not only because it is the longest, like that's usually actually a detriment to this, to a self-contained arc, but rather it portrays a very interesting aspect of the show and very interesting aspect of the humanity as a whole in general. I feel like it has the most inspired message in it that it tries to convey, and in my opinion conveys rather well. And I feel like that makes it one of, if not the best arc, at least the best arc so far in my opinion, and possibly the best arc in shonen anime just in general, though my experience on that doesn't really mean all that much. Now I'll try to just keep it brief because I won't go delve deep into the symbolism of the whole situation here. The whole arc is riddled with symbolism, and especially the last episodes. They have so much little hidden meanings here and there of many of the sentences and moves and all that. It's just impossible for me to talk about that without derailing the conversation quickly. So let's just talk about the simple facts. I suppose we should start with Meruem, who in my opinion is probably the best antagonist in anime just in general, because in the end he turned out to be the protagonist, like, in a way, if you think about it. Like, he literally became one of the most humane characters in existence, because the whole arc kind of revolved around his transcendence into godhood, while at the same time his transcendence from being a beast into a human in a way. It's hard to explain without going into too much detail, but I suppose everybody, like, I just love how much the arc focused on him, and especially his evolution, I should say, or his transformation, or on how his opinions grew and changed throughout the arc. I mean, it's really hard for me to say anything that you wouldn't already know. It's a very... It's not that the arc lacks subtlety. I mean, it's not the most subtle arc, but it certainly has subtlety. But it isn't like convoluted, so convoluted that you could not comprehend it. So yeah, that's why I don't need to break down the symbolism for you. Everybody can figure it out on their own, and if not, there are multiple people who have, like, there's a lot of more research on that is far better than what I can convey in under 15 minutes. I love Meruem. I absolutely love him, and his whole life very much had a open and closed book endings, and it was lovely and poetic, and his downfall was as tragic as it could have been, and I loved it. Although it's sad that he passed away, since in the end he actually kind of sympathized with humanity and became, as I said, the most human character. Now on the other hand, let's talk about Gon, because his transformation is also very essential for the show. However, it completely contradicted what happened to Meruem. He became from this naive, childlike guy, although I've been hinting at that. I've been quite certain that he would become evil at some point. He became from a very naive little child into a monster fueled by rage and revenge and feelings of hatred and anger. So much so that it literally transformed his body. He became a literal incarnation of anger and hatred. And that's amazing. The episode has the end of this arc has had so many just amazing masterpieces to it that there's no way for me to even, like, describe those without just giving you those clips, which I want to. But yeah, it's just, frankly speaking, amazing how well the two main characters. Not necessarily protagonist and antagonist, since both of the sides have kind of relatable and understandable reasonings, but neither can be seen as a truly good, you know. Gon would appear to be the better, and I mean the more well-meaning antagonist, but he's entirely fueled by negative emotions, and eventually those do take him over, while Meruem is completely fueled by positive emotions, just the way that he wants to keep on, he just tries to rule the world and wants to create a perfect utopia, you know? I love how the two main characters just contradict each other and contrast each other so heavily without meeting once. It's quite amazing. The closest that they ever came was that Gon looked at him once. Yeah, that's quite insane. Now we should also talk about the two most supporting characters to our protagonists, or antagonists, however you want to talk about it. And those are Komugi and Killua. Now, Killua truly did become the light this time. And again, his transformation as a character has been something that has been a beauty to behold, more throughout this arc than on the whole series itself. Not that Killua hasn't evolved at all, but rather this is where his character kind of reached a pinnacle, where his and Gon's perspectives and main roles in their relationship switched, where now Gon was the aggressive, the darker side of humanity, while Killua tried to be the light of reason. And it's portrayed again amazingly well. Not that Killua completely changed and made a 180, because he still has that innate sense of murder, anxiety, and just darkness and need for self-fulfillment, and he still tries to live through Gon, but that he becomes more of the kind of heroic, but more so he becomes more of the leading way. He just becomes more of an active character instead of a supportive character. It's hard to describe this. And then naturally we have to talk about Komugi, who eventually turned out to be the reason that the king actually won. Well, I mean, she is the reason that the king died. Well, not exactly, but she's the reason that the king died and Meruem became to be. It's hard to describe, but her part of the story is so huge that, again, just recapping that would take up the whole video. So, yeah, this is gonna be a really convoluted. Oh bother! I'm just gonna upload this. Whatever. I would have to talk about all of the characters. Oh well. No, I'm just gonna leave it at here. Well, one more thing before I actually did this, because I just cannot absolutely comprehend to talk about this arc in a 15-minute video. We must talk about character progression and character advancement for everybody, since every character got some development. Even the little supporting ant who I didn't even see coming. It's just incomprehensible. I was joking about it in the comments, like, who hasn't gotten character development? Well, that ant that was serving that other chimera ant that she didn't get. Oh wait, she turned out to be that very, very actually important driving force behind one of the earliest characters in this arc that was introduced, that little girl. And I love how everybody gets some character development, and it's not necessarily for better or for worse. So, but rather it's just the characters have a lot of moments of self-actualization and realization, and they come to their own in this arc. And it doesn't become sudden or swift, and they actually, some of them, where the development is more sudden, they even question it themselves. It's a masterful piece of art. This arc is truly beautiful, and it's a masterful it's a masterpiece. It's completely wonderful, and it is so. Not only does it have inspiration of other sources of literature that have come before it, but it also is very self-aware of shonen tropes and tries to actively subvert those, as well as subvert our expectations of events that are about to happen, and in such a way that I absolutely had no idea what was going to happen throughout majority of the events, since we had no idea. Like, there was maybe one thing that was certain for the whole arc, and that was that Gon would live, and even that became uncertain, and it still is uncertain, since by the time, like, in episode 136 we left off him in a hospital in critical state, so it's not even yet certain that he lives. So the arc has been amazing, and it's impossible for me to do it justice here. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, like, I don't know how I'm gonna watch any show after this and be befuddled by it again, be so amazed and in awe of it. It's just, the writer, the creator of this series is a genius. He's a master of pacing and character development, as well as actually interesting and creative dialogue. It's something else. This whole series, more specifically this arc, but this whole series is just an amazing masterpiece. I don't know what else to say, and that's why I'm not gonna say anything else. I doubt that you need any more explanation. It's just amazing. This whole arc has a lot of little details that we could go into detail for hours on end, and there are, like, almost every single episode is something where we could go and deconstruct them and talk about them in detail, and how much they have been foreshadowed, and how much character progression they have, and how much foreshadowing they even contain for the future. But that would take years. It's just amazing to think about. And what I said about the pacing was that, the show doesn't even just stay oppressive and dark and depressing all the time, but rather it's masterfully paced so that not two episodes feel that they have the same mood to them. They have similar moods, but all of them have very, very different operant conditions to them, and they have very different advancements in the story, which make them feel so very different from one another. Even the most darkest episodes have so many different feelings to it. And yeah, it's hard for me to find many things, like any things to complain about the story at all, since even the fact that the king seemed to be indestructible, yet fell at the hands of human weaponry, easily, as a matter of fact, since the humans still have more weapons, more powerful, greater weapons than that. It's just amazingly well portrayed that he seemed to be indestructible, this invulnerable being that could not be taken down, and yet he felt the smallest things. It's just unimaginable to think about how this came to be. And yeah, I love it. This is still freaking incomprehensible. Whatever, I'm uploading this. I've been waiting for this like 5 hours, so I'm gonna just end it here. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you on the future arcs, which should be coming in the nearby years, I suppose. Hope, God, yeah, and I hope he doesn't pull a George R.R. Martin and doesn't upload anything, like release anything in like 5 years or so. Whatever, I love this, it's so good. But that being said, I thank you all so very much. I'll see you in the future and have a great day, still. Yanmu out. Thanks for watching.